You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, then! I'll bite your legs off!
I can take it.
Great power comes great responsibility. We have a hope. Get to the chopper! And we the flesh wound. I am the father.
And welcome back to SludgeCast, Episode 3. We thank you guys so much for sticking with us and listening to our episodes, not just the main episodes, but also the Monster Movie Stomp Downs. We definitely have a blast doing these, all 5 of us in total throughout the show. Definitely me, Matt, and Tyler here on the main episodes, and me, Mark, and Ruben on the Monster Movie Stomp Downs. Definitely enjoy your all support. And we've got a pretty fun episode in store for you guys. So, of course, Sludge here. Glad to be here, guys.
Matt here. Tyler's here.
We thank you again so much. And today is Tuesday. This Friday, the MEG comes out. And that's what I want to jump into real quick because I am super excited about it. I know we all want to see it. And so we decided since it's coming out this Friday, which by the time you guys listen to it would have just came out, we decided it would be really fun to do a history of the movie Jaws. Because Jaws is really what inspired that whole genre of films, just the creature run amok movies that just spawned from the 70s all the way to today. I mean, we wouldn't have movies like the MEG, which were from books, but I mean, Jaws really inspired all of that. The books that's come out relating to it and the movies that's come out following. So we thought it'd be really cool to just dive headfirst into Jaws. And after that, we're going to discuss superheroes to TV. Something else we're big fans of is the shows on Netflix like Daredevil or the DC shows like Arrow and The Flash. And so we wanted to talk about a history of superheroes to TV because it goes way, 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 way back. I mean, it's been prevalent a lot for a very long time, many, many decades. So we hope you guys definitely enjoy it. We also have a new segment that we'll be introducing during this show. And we will let Tyler introduce that segment real quick if you'd like.
Yeah, so guys, we're going to be starting a new section in this called Stump the Sludge. Sludge really takes pride in the fact that he knows just about everything.
Thinks he knows.
And, thinks he knows.
We're going to test that.
Thank you, Matt. So what our goal is to bring him down a notch. We want to humble Sludge a little bit and just try and get him some questions maybe that he doesn't know or maybe just try and get some hard questions out there and see if he really does know everything. So that'll be coming up later on. Pretty excited to try that out.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So we had talked about it a lot in the show, and we'll give you guys a little bit of what we do behind the scenes. We're constantly discussing the episodes. What can we do to make them more fun for everybody and get people to listen to them more? We thought that we'll listen to a lot of podcasts that doing it more like a radio show or a talk show would be a lot of fun to have segments that we constantly have. So we've got the Q&A corner, with Matt that he does at the end of the episode where you listeners ask us questions and we answer them here on the air. I thought it'd be really fun, and then we come up with the Stump the Sludge, and yes, we kind of came from that metal show where they did Stump the Trunk. Eddie Trunk is a genius when it comes to metal music, and it's very rare on that show that he ever actually gets anything wrong. So we thought that would be a fun thing to do and make interactive for you guys. So we're constantly working. If you guys ever have any suggestions on what you'd like to hear or see us hear us do on the show, let us know. We want to make this very entertaining. We love doing what we do. We love being able to just rant about the things that we love. And we love the fact that you guys like to listen to us do that. So thank you so much.
And one other thing, guys, for those of you who listen, feel free to keep sending in the questions that you guys want to know the answers to. We'll continue to cover those. But also feel free to send in your own topics for the Stump the Sludge. We'd love to get you guys involved in doing these questions as well. So feel free to send in if you guys have some unknown trivia or anything about any of the topics we talk about. Feel free to send them in. We'll review them, and if we think it's a good topic, we'll get it in here, and we'll we'll see what the sludge can do with it.
That's a great idea. So now I know that something that we talked about is we'll do the Stump the Sludge kind of in relation to what we were talking about on the show, whatever the main topics are. So like tonight's questions, and by the way, for you listeners, I have no idea what these questions are. They do not show me, they do not tell me beforehand. So I'm completely oblivious to what I'm going to be asked later, but I do know that they'll be relating to our topics. So Jaws is topic 1, and then of course Superheroes the TV being topic 2. So I know they could come from those areas. Should we have them do it like that, or just have them just do anything, that we talk about, or what do you think?
I think if they want to send in, we can at least do one one listener question, even if it isn't necessarily a topic about what we're going over that week, just to keep them involved. And if we come up with some more questions to keep it related to the episode that we're on, we can do it however the listeners want to do it there.
Sounds good. I'm game for it.
Yeah.
I'm game for
Especially
it.
like Godzilla questions or monster movie questions.
Bring it on
Yes.
when it comes to that. So
I would so love to be able to stump him one time on that. I will never do it, but man, that would be
if
so
you
awesome.
can come up with a question that would stump him on Godzilla,
I'll tell you what, to get listeners going, we have just started. We're fixing to print SludgeCast t-shirts. I had to wear one to RobCon to promote. If you can come up with a Godzilla question for Tyler on the Stump the Sludge section that you think I could lose at, if you actually get me stumped, you will get a free SludgeCast t-shirt sent to you.
I like it.
So make sure you send that in with your name on it so we can make sure that you get credit for it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let's jump into it. Topic 1, of course, being Jaws. Now, everybody who's listening to this has had to have seen that movie. I don't foresee anybody listening that's never seen it. We know what Jaws is. It made the world afraid to go back in the water. It came out in 1975. Steven Spielberg directed it. Got a great cast: Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lauren Gray. Really good cast. Actually, when they wanted to hire that cast, Zanuck and Brown, the guys that pretty much did the movie or brought the movie on, they wanted Spielberg to hire well-known actors. Spielberg wanted to abide by that, but he didn't want real big stars because he wanted it to feel like kind of middle class. He wanted to feel like those watching the movie can relate to the people in the movie. So I think he did a great job of the cast. The movie's amazing. We love this movie. We can go through and talk about the good things or bad things. I think the only bad thing that can really be said about it's really the shark, because we all know at this point that it's just not the best looking shark, but it was handled so well by Spielberg because of the problems they went through that it's just still amazing to this day.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I went back. I even watched it last night again.
Did you?
Yeah, I did from start to beginning, and you've already said it. It made Americans fear to go in the water. My wife, she will not go in the water. She will, but it's just like,
is it because of Jaws?
Because of her toes. It's got something to do with it, She does, and she's put the fear of going in the water into one of my children already. One of them will not go in.
Oh, see, that's terrible.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
The other one's like, hey, how far out can we go, Dad? Let's see. I'm like, well, until your mom starts yelling at us.
I loved it. It was not a movie for me watching it young that made me go, I can't get in the water. It made me want to go further into the water.
Have you guys seen these like lakes and parks that have like, you get in an inner tube and they have the TV on the edge of the water and they play Jaws while you're sitting in an inner tube in the water? You couldn't pay me.
I so want to do that.
No, man.
I would love
couldn't
to do
that. See, I was definitely, and again, for those listening, I'm a lot younger than everyone else here talking. So
every week,
so
right
I was petrified when I saw this the first time. I was like, holy cow! Like, I was one of those. I'm not getting in the water, not doing anything. I'm definitely gotten over it now. I can go to the ocean. I'm fine.
But he will not sit in a pond on an inner tube.
No,
and watch it not happening.
Not while watching the movie at the same time. No, not happening.
I would love to do that. I've seen him do it a couple times in different areas, and I think that would be a blast.
Oh, that would be fun.
That would be so much fun. And I would be disappointed if I went and did that, and there wasn't somebody that gets in the water and tries to scare you. I'd be like, I'm let down. I feel like that would be really kind of like the old matinees or the back in the day when they did the Tinglers and stuff in the theaters. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to. I wanted to watch Jaws the other day, actually, my daughter knew we were doing this episode, and she went and actually watched Jaws 2 because she hadn't watched it in a while. She's a Jaws fanatic. Like, when we went to Comic-Con, her biggest thing she wanted to do was to see Christy Becklini, I think's her name, the lady who gets killed at the very beginning of the movie. Right. She was at the Knoxville Comic-Con, and she's like, Dad, I want to go meet her. She's such a big fan of this movie. And but it was like, man, it was like $60 for an autograph from her, wow. $40 for a picture. I'm like, look, yeah, we're in Jaws, but you still got eaten it. What else have you done? Yeah. So I was like, and she was like, well, can we? I'm like, kid, I ain't got that kind of money, But she's a big fan. I mean, it was one of those movies for me that it didn't make me afraid to go in the water. It really, as a kid, for me, growing up in Florida, made me want to get in the water more. Like, I loved sharks because of Jaws, and I just couldn't get enough. I remember I would go down to my grandmother's in Bradenton during the summer, and one of the things that I'd do to make money is I would go catch hermit crabs at the beach and then take them to the tourist shops, and they'd sell them for a couple bucks, but they'd buy them for me for like $0.25 a piece. And I remember being down there, and I had my 5-gallon bucket, loading it up with hermit crabs, got my snorkel on, and people start going, shark, shark, and they're looking around, and there's not a big shark, but there was a school of them, probably about 4 or 5 of these sand tiger sharks that were anywhere from maybe 2 feet all the way up to 4 foot long. And they were coming in pretty close and eating like the needlefish and things that were coming through, and I was ecstatic. So what do? 9 years old, dude, I'm down. In the water, I'm swimming, getting close to them. I'm like, this is awesome. So and of course I end up swimming out that when that happened to the first sandbar when they go back out. And so I'm probably I want to say probably 50, 60 yards from shore. And after that sandbar, it does drop down a lot. And then it hits me in my mind. They go back out so that the bigger ones can come in a little closer to feed. And I'm like, oh, I better go. So that was a little, but I mean, Jaws for me really inspired my love for sharks, and I think it did for a lot of people, down deep. Because even though it made a lot of people afraid, those people who were afraid watch Shark Week every week and or every year. They love it. So, and it did really good. We'll talk a little bit about the movie itself. Again, Spielberg brought it out. Spielberg was still a pretty fresh new director at the time. Hadn't really done anything super, super huge. He got the opportunity to do this one, and he was not 100% sure on it. They actually bought the rights to the movie, I think 3 or 4 months before the book actually even released, because Brown and it was either Brown or Zanuck, one of their wives, worked at the same publishing house that Peter Benchley worked for, and got a copy of the book and read it and loved it. And was like, we got to make this a movie. Got to make this a movie. And it was huge, even though it went through so much trouble as far as production, because they built 3 sharks for the movie and had continuous problems. They were I think they were even maybe even a month from the shooting schedule, and 2 people, Hooper wasn't casted yet. They hadn't even casted Richard Dreyfuss as him yet. Quint wasn't cast. They didn't even have Robert Shaw. Trying to get people in there, so it was a long problem stage for them. It went at 159 days as far as this production schedule. I think it was supposed to be 55, and it went 159 days. Oh, so that's so many problems. The budget was increased by $3 million because of problems with the special effects, and they end up only be able to do certain things. I remember reading about Spielberg wanted to do a lot of scenes out deep in the water, because he wanted it to look real versus doing it in a pond or in the shallow waters. Caused tons of problems. Dreyfuss, I think, actually almost drowned in the shark cage at one point. So it was very problematic. But then it ended up coming out. They spent more on the production for that movie, or the promotions for that movie, than they had any movie at the time. I think it was $1.8 million. And it was huge, huge. Jaws went on to become the very first summer blockbuster film ever. Because prior to that, summer movies just weren't a big thing. Jaws totally made that. So, now when we think of summer blockbusters, it's because of Jaws. Jaws was also the first movie to cross $100 million in a domestic release in the theatrical range. And it did so well. Actually, the Library of Congress, if I'm not mistaken, a few years back, actually submitted it as, however they do it, as pivotal historical piece of film to be preserved, because it was so so big. No one expected it to do what it did, and it spawned 3 sequels, which the second one was okay.
Okay.
And the third one was
Not okay.
not okay. The fourth one, even worse. Like, it was so bad. Tyler, did you see any of the sequels?
I actually haven't. I've only seen the original, which from a lot of people I've heard that's not a bad thing. Like, like you guys said, it just gradually kind of gets worse.
It definitely did.
So I'd only seen the original one.
The only thing that's good about the fourth film is Michael Caine. Like, that's it. I mean, if it wasn't for, I watched the fourth film. That's the only. I'm just looking for Michael Caine to show up because he's great when he's on camera. The rest of the time, it's like, in the first one you're watching, and you're kind of like going, okay, I'm waiting for the shark to show up. I want to see the shark. I'm excited for the shark. Well, in 4, it's like, I'm ready for Michael Caine. I'm ready to see Michael Caine because you don't care about the shark at that point.
Yeah.
The third one is kind of fun if you can get a hold of an original VHS copy of it that was in 3D, because the third one was originally released in 3D. And then can watch it on TV. Now, I lost it years ago, but I used to have Jaws 3D because they ended up releasing Jaws 3 later on VHS. That wasn't 3D, but my dad had a copy of Jaws 3D, and we had the old 3D glasses, and that's about the only way you can enjoy that film. That's really it, and even the 3D effects are really bad, really bad. Like, we had, I think, like the 2 years prior, maybe the year prior, he had Friday the 13th Part 3D, which was great. Like, when I got to watch that in 3D, I was like, whoa, there's that one scene where Jason throws that spear, and it's coming right out the screen. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. But then you go to Jaws 3D, and there's that scene at the end where the shark comes through because it's at SeaWorld, and he comes through this underwater base that they got underneath the lagoon and breaks through the window and floods it, and that's kind of like one of the final scenes close to the end. I think it's where Lou Gossett Jr. actually ends up dying in that scene. But like, the shark's coming, and it's a 3D scene, but he is moving so slow. Do you remember that, Matt?
Yeah.
It's like epic slow. Like, what should be a scene that may take 7-10 seconds takes like 3 minutes. Like, it's bad, and it's just a fake rubber prop, and it's just coming like super, 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 super slow. And so in 3D, you're just like, I'm gonna put my glasses down, go get me a Coke, come back. The shark's still gonna be there. I'm coming, because it's rough. The second one's definitely the best of the sequels, but the first one's great. I mean, it's one of those movies that I feel like no one's ever going to forget. It's just, it rocked the world.
Yeah, it's going to hang around for a while. Actually, I watched it on Amazon Prime last night. I think they got all 4 of them.
Do they?
On Prime, yeah. Yeah, so
I want to watch it again.
It's like, cool.
Because it's been a while, but it's one of those movies where I've watched it so much. Like I said, my daughter's, that's her, every time a new version of it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray, she's always like, Dad, I gotta get that. I'm like, it's got the same special features. No, it's got one more thing added now, and I need to have
additional
that.
10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like when it comes to Godzilla stuff, that's kind of how she is with Jaws or Tremors. She loves Jaws, man. Like, Jaws really did it in for her for sharks, kind of the same way. Like, I remember she first watched Jaws, she was 3 or 4.
Wow.
And just absolutely loved that movie. And, we go to the aquarium. I took her, like, when she was 5 to the Newport Aquarium, Ohio. And I've been to aquariums all my life, and I love, aquariums. But she's like, Dad, you go to the shark tunnel and stuff, and she's like, why is there only boy sharks in here? I'm like, what? She's like, there's only boy sharks. 5 years old. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm 28 or whatever at the time, 25, and I'm like, I don't know. I got to stop one of the aquarium guys. I'm like, why are there only boy sharks? And they're like, oh, because if the females are in, when they mate, it's so violent, it causes problems. We can't have it. He's like, that's a good question. I'm like, I didn't ask it. This little 5-year-old did it. Like, so she's all about it. She called me during Shark Week, Dad, this is blah blah blah. She's so pumped for the Meg too. But I think what's cool about it, and I think it's fun to talk about Jaws, is of course it did so well. I mean, even though some characters were reluctant to, or actors were reluctant to star in it, it's boosted careers. I think Roy Scheider, the only movie I can think of prior to Blue Thunder. Do you remember Blue Thunder?
Mm-mm.
It had Roy Scheider and Daniel Stern from Home Alone.
Wow.
They were these cops that flew this like over the top, like high tech helicopter. It was a cop movie. I think it came out prior to this. There wasn't a whole lot that Schreider was, people known for. Of course, Dreyfuss, new actor.
Yeah.
He was pretty much unheard of. Robert Shaw, there was a lot he'd done prior. The first thing I think of, my favorite movie with him, other than Jaws, is the original Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, which was really, really good. It spawned their careers. Spielberg skyrocketed his. It did so well for so many people. But even for the second film, they're like, Spielberg, do you want to come back and do it? And he's like, no, I'm not touching it. And none of the other actors wanted to come back for the second one. They had to actually kind of coerce Roy Schreider into coming back. Well, Lauren Gray, Miss Brody, she came back for the second one. Was cool with it. She was actually in all but the third one. I think the third one was the only one she wasn't in, if I'm not mistaken. Because no one was the same. Michael Brody was completely different actor all four films. They got somebody else completely different, But it did very, very well, and it spawned the whole nature dynamic genre, and that's huge. You've got, because of Jaws, not only did you have tons of ripoffs, like the one I think of that's the absolute worst was an Italian movie called I think The Last Shark is what it's called, and it's horrible. It's Jaws 3. Jaws 4 is 10 times better than that movie is. It's or the White Shark. No, maybe White Shark. It's Last Shark, White Shark. Something like that. It was an Italian ripoff. I've got it. I've watched 10 minutes of it and can't go any further. But so you've got very apparent Jaws ripoffs, but you also had so many nature dynamic films that wouldn't have come if it wasn't for Jaws. One of my favorites is Grizzly. Came out in 1976. I love that movie. That movie's awesome. It's really good and really intense and doesn't make you ever want to go camping again. You got it. You've got, Food of the Gods was one that came out that same year. About a bunch of giant different, The Rats was really the best part of that. Empire of the Ants, Kingdom of the Spiders came out, which Kingdom of the Spiders had William Shatner in it. Terrible acting in that, just like it was the other thing he did, but he's still in it. I think some of the better ones that came out was like Orca, the killer whale.
Yeah.
That one was really, really, really good. I can't remember the name of the actor off the top of my head. He played Caesar in Gladiator with Russell Crowe. He played the captain in Orca, and he tries to catch an orca whale alive and sell it for captivity to make a ton of money. Goes completely south, and it's catching a pregnant female, and she ends up dying. While he pulls her in a boat, the baby comes out prematurely. It's a pretty rough opening, but the whole time that this is happening, it's not going the way he wanted it to. The female actually tries to kill herself with the propellers because she's just stabbed with a spear and getting wrapped into the line. It's an intense opening. But while all this is happening, the father, her mate, is watching all of this happen, and it wrecks him completely. So the whole movie is about this father, the male orca, stalking him. He spends the rest of the movie stalking him down. Actually, when he drops the mother's body off the boat, after the father he actually rams the boat and actually ends up killing one of his crewmen. He takes the body and swims the body all the way back to the port that this captain docks his boat at, just so he sees, so that he knows that he's after him, and spends the whole rest of the movie just stalking this captain. And it's a phenomenal movie. It is so, so good. So, you got great ones like that, but then you got really, really bad ones like Barracuda or Piranha or Alligator. Alligator was fun, but it was pretty rough. But then, you've got the gems, Russell Mulcahy's Razorback came out in 1984. That was a great movie. Blu-ray's fixing to come out, I think, next month, actually, for that one. But Russell Mulcahy, of course, that was the movie that kicked his career off, and he went on from that to do Highlander, which, Highlander was awesome. Everybody loves Highlander. So you've got that. You've got other ones like Slugs, and Slugs was actually one of my sister's favorite movies, which was really weird because it's just about these man-eating slugs. They get in this chemical and they start eating people, and it's pretty bad.
Out of all the ones there, I would want to watch that one.
Slugs?
Yeah, just because of the name.
it's fun, but it's not good.
It's like, oh my gosh, slugs! Pour salt on them! Hurry!
Yeah, and no one does. I don't think I can't remember anybody doing that in the whole movie.
I mean, why would you go for the obvious choice?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody ever
It makes
does
no
that
sense
in
to
any
do that.
movie.
No
I mean,
sense.
most movies would be like 5 seconds long if we did that.
So I mean, Jaws is what's done it. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
Jaws inspired Steve Alton to write the Meg, and now we've got it coming out this weekend. And and I know that me and Matt are planning on going. Permitting everything goes good to see that movie Friday. So actually we'll have a nice little segment for you guys coming up here in just a moment of our first initial thoughts after seeing the film. But hopefully you guys, we all love Jaws. I'm thankful for what it's done because there's been such good movies. There's some bad ones. Python came out in like 2003 when they were doing CGI, and that's a horrible movie. So bad. Piranha was pretty good. Not the newer ones. The old Roger Corman one. Actually, the second one, was it the second one? Piranha 2: The Spawning? Yeah. Piranha 2: The Spawning came out years later, was actually the first movie that James Cameron debuted directing.
Oh, I did not know
He
that.
doesn't tell anybody, I think for a good reason.
Yeah, probably not.
It's worse than the Roger Corman original one, I can tell you that much. It is not good. I'll watch Avatar 100 times over before I watch Piranha 2 again. I mean, for those that don't know.
What about Titanic?
No,
I was going to say, no, he's not going to Titanic. Yeah.
I don't. There is not many movies I wouldn't watch over Titanic, but that's what should have happened. They should have just done a parody and thrown the Jaws shark in there, and just took everybody out. Not just the people on the boat. If I did Titanic, this would be it right here. The boat would start to sink. Very beginning of the film, the Jaws shark would show up, and instead of eating the people on the boat, you'd all of a sudden see like the film crew and the directors making the Titanic movie. He would just devour them because they took too long making the original film. That would be my version of Titanic, and it would make $10.
That's hilarious.
$10 at most.
And that would be for his own ticket.
I would be buying my own ticket.
He'd be like, man, this is awesome.
The studio would be like,
I like this version
"We're
of
not going to let you
Titanic.
see this for free. It was so bad. What did you do with this?" That'd be one of the ones to watch. And it would actually be like a cult classic. People are like, "Oh man, that's the best Titanic movie ever." I found actually, kind of going off on a rant here, a 40s movie, Titanic movie that was actually from Germany, and I'm like, I want to watch that because it's got to be better than Titanic that we know, because I just don't like it. So anyway, so coming up here, listen to what we think about the Meg. Hopefully you guys go and see it and enjoy it. It's going to be a ton of fun. It comes out, of course, Friday. It's going to have Jason Statham in it, and we all hope that we see him try and karate kick that shark at least one time. Oh, hey, the one girl in that movie, just read today on the news, can't think of her name now. She's just got cast as Batwoman.
Yes, I saw that.
Saw that earlier. Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose.
Ruby
is that
Rose.
who it is?
Yeah, Ruby Rose.
They didn't have it on here, so that's so new.
Yeah, pretty new. So, all right, guys. Here's me and Matt's initial thoughts on the Meg. All right, Sludge here, along with Matt. We just got out of the Meg.
Yes, the Meg.
It was great.
It was
great.
awesome, yes.
So we decided we'd give you guys, of course, like we talked on the show, our initial thoughts about it. Matt, what did you think?
I thought it was a great movie. The visuals were great. Made your mind go wild. They made the Earth so much bigger, and
Definitely.
it just made your mind go wild. And the story was great. Great movie. Yeah.
I going into this because, and like we talked before, I'm such a big fan of the series and have read this book 5 times. I tried my best not to go in jaded, I guess, pre-jaded, because I wanted to enjoy it, so I really threw it away. There was a lot of stuff that was different, but they made it extremely enjoyable. It was a very good, it's not better than Jaws, but it was definitely a very, very fun popcorn summer flick.
Yeah, very funny. I mean, comedic relief all throughout the whole film.
It was the character DJ. When you guys see this, DJ was hilarious.
He was the man.
And don't worry, the dog does survive. Just for those who might be worried, his name's Pippin, and he makes it. I have to say a couple things I thought initially. I don't know that I've ever seen Jason Statham smile that much in one movie.
Right, I know it. Yeah.
It was a very happy. I mean, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of. I mean, a lot of people do die, but that was a very upbeat role for him in comparison to some other ones, which is interesting because from the book, Jonas Taylor, they did it a little bit, but when he goes back to rescue him and all this starts to happen, he still deals with the terror that happened from the initial event in the book, and they did it once or twice. But he was very happy in comparison to the way the book was, so I like that. The dynamics between the cast was really good.
Yeah.
So the only couple things, Just a spoiler alert for you fans of the book, the whole awesome opening sequence of the book with the Tyrannosaurus Rex doesn't happen. We weren't that lucky, but still has a really good opening. Everything was good. I liked it. A lot was different. There's a lot of things changed as far as location-wise, and don't want to spoil too much for those that want to go see it. But even through all the changes and differences in the book, it was a really fun movie.
Yeah, really fun. Yeah, so much fun. And like you refer to the deaths. It's not like you weren't attached to these people that died. Maybe one or two, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that person died.
No,
like,
and
they got it.
They did, because the deaths were very comedic, I thought, in some of them. One of the main characters that does die, you think he survives, but then all of a sudden his death happens right afterwards, and it was pretty humorous. So
Rainn Wilson, very good.
Everybody was great.
So good.
Way more lighthearted than the book, but I think for them wanting to make that as a PG-13 film for teenagers to be able to enjoy on a broader spectrum, they did a really, really good job.
Yeah, they did all. I mean, there was a lot of kids in the theater.
Yeah,
a lot more than I thought there would be, and the theater was packed. I mean, they did.
It definitely surprised me.
Yeah,
if they'd have went with the tone of the book and went to the book to a T, it would have definitely been an R-rated film without question. So very limited amount of people that they would have seen. So to build the audience and make it bigger, it was a great movie. I'll be seeing it again, real soon with my daughter because she wants to see it. But this is one I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. It was a blast.
Yeah, just a fun film to see. There's, of course, there's going to be language in it too, but it wasn't overbearing.
Yeah,
wasn't
too
things,
bad.
But nothing out of than any other movie, really. So
yeah, I mean, there's probably less language in this. I can only remember maybe 3 or 4 words.
Yeah.
Out of the whole movie, so it wasn't too bad. The blood wasn't a lot. What blood you did see really came from other marine animals.
Yeah.
But it was good. I mean, it was really enjoyable.
Good movie. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
Definitely comment on the page and let us know what you think about it. So, this is Sludge.
It's Matt.
See y'all later.
We miss you, Tyler.
Missed you, Tyler.
All right, guys, it's time for the Stump the Sludge. We're going to give Sludge...
You need to do like a big radio voice. Like, it's time for Stump the Sludge.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to do that.
All right. Well, so what we're going to do tonight, guys, is we're going to offer Sludge 3 questions. One of them, and we did let him know at least the topics. I let him know just before we started. One will be going along the lines of Jaws, which we just finished talking about, and 2 of them will kind of lead into our next segment about superheroes and TV and movies on that. So first question, you ready here, Sludge?
I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be. Should I be a little bit nervous?
I don't think too much. I tried to think
I'm looking at you and I'm going, you know what? I know a lot about this stuff, but he's going to be like, what is the name of the second cameraman who did the B shots at Martha's Vineyard?
Dude,
I'll be honest. I didn't
nailed the question, man.
Do you know his mother's name? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So first off, we are going to start with the Jaws since that's the topic we just finished with. All right, Steven Spielberg, film's director, first became aware of the book when he noticed it on top of a large stack of papers in his producer's office when he was doing the movie. When he saw the book, what were his initial thoughts of what the book was about?
Man, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Initial, he saw the book, Jaws.
He saw the book, and what did he think first the book was going to be or be about?
Oh, be about?
Like what did he think it was?
Okay, I thought you were asking like his thoughts of like I was just going, oh, I got to make this movie.
No, like what did he think that was going to be about?
A dentist.
Dang, he got it. He thought when he originally saw the book, his thought was the movie was about a dentist, or that the book was going to be about a dentist, and that's what he was going in for. Man. That's
actually one of the special features on the Blu-ray.
Okay,
they mention it. So
okay,
I was struggling there. I was like,
I haven't seen the special features.
I know this.
That movie would have been terrible.
There is a legit horror movie called The Dentist, and it's terrible.
I'm sure. I wouldn't want to see that.
Now there's one called Dr. Giggles. Dude, that is so bad, but it is so campy. It's so much fun. But
I mean, that's a nightmare for me anyways. I hate going to the dentist. So I mean, I would probably be terrified if
I don't mind going to the dentist.
I hate it.
I hate when they try to talk to you and I can't reply back. I get mad. I'm like, we'll stop for a second and I'll
Seriously,
respond to you.
The lady's cleaning your teeth,
rude.
and they're like, "Hey, what'd you do this weekend?"
Yeah, exactly. God. Okay, so that's one down.
All right, well,
Boom.
one down. Yeah, he's 33% so far. All right, going on to the next one in the Avengers. So we're going back to movies, and on these, I'm kind of seeing how well you pay attention to the Easter eggs on both of these last questions. So it's little Easter egg points here.
Well, then let me ask: are
Yeah.
we talking the new Avengers?
Yes,
No? Okay.
the newer Avengers.
Infinity
Like,
War.
Not the Infinity War. I'm talking about the first Avengers.
Okay, so Avengers, not Ultron or
No,
okay.
no. This is
Man,
the Avengers.
I haven't watched this one in a
All right.
minute.
So Bruce Banner falls from the sky, and the security guard asks him nervously if he is an alien. Do you know why he asked so nervously if he was an alien?
When Bruce Banner falls from the sky.
Oh, okay.
And do you know who the man was? So this is kind
That's
of
two questions in one.
It's kind of a 2-in-1.
It's a
kind of a 2-in-1.
two-part.
But they play together. Like, if you can figure out one, you'll know why I asked the second one.
I'm trying to remember what the guy looks like, that actor, who he was.
It's the older, like, security looking.
Right. This may be the one I get wrong, but hold on. Let me think.
I can't place it either.
Did we stump him on the first one?
You can't stump me on the first one. That's crazy. Okay, so are you an alien? Does he think he's Superman?
No.
Can't believe I got that wrong.
Which, I mean, this may be pretty hard because, I mean, given the circumstances of him falling through the sky, I mean,
I thought it was
asking
a
somebody if
Superman.
he's an alien, that's not
Yeah.
so unheard of. But there is kind of a hidden reason there.
Clueless. Man, the sound of silence is
This is
definitely
hard.
in the
This
room.
one's
Yeah.
difficult.
I love the sound of silence in
It
this
is-
case. Like,
man,
normally
this
it's
is
so
crazy,
awkward,
man.
but right now I'm like, man, did I do this on the first episode?
And it's an Easter egg, so it had to be Marvel related, actually.
And the crowd goes
Well,
wild.
in this case, it may be tied to another movie. It may not even be within Marvel.
I'm stumped. I am-
Just knowing that you're a movie fan, this excites me. So the
I am
actor here is Harry Dean Stanton, which played one of the crew members on the ship in
For
Alien.
Yes.
And he was scared
Dang it.
because he was killed by an
I did not
alien
think
in the
about
movie.
that. Yeah, Harry Dean
So he
Stanton
is
the
freaking
one-
out,
Man,
asking
are you
if he's an alien.
I did not think about that at all. That being Harry Dean Stanton.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, because he gets the chest burster scene. That's him.
Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
You stumped me on the first
First
time we did
episode,
this.
man. I'm so thrilled.
Yes.
Like, if he gets this last one,
have-
I don't care.
I have revoked this
Show
fussing
over.
episode. Yeah. All right, so let's go best 2 out of 3
So
here.
do I get a free T-shirt? Is that what that means? No, I'm just kidding. All right, last one, Wakanda. Okay.
Wakanda.
Yep. The dwelling place of Black Panther, Wakanda, is mentioned in the movies, but do you know when the location was first mentioned in the movies?
Like what movie is it?
Yeah.
In which movie was Wakanda first mentioned, or
In the MCU.
yeah,
Captain America: First Avenger. That's not the first time. What came prior to that?
They talk about the medal in that one, but they don't talk about Wakanda.
So the name. We're
The
talking about-
name,
it-
the
it-
place.
It is showed up on the movie at some point before.
Okay. Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I was like, it's where the vibranium comes
Yeah.
from. Captain
Yeah,
America.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it's also
Yeah.
mentioned, of course, in Avengers: Age of Ultron as well.
Right. Right.
But
you're
what
talking
would have
about
been
the first.
what would have been the very first time?
Were they-
and I don't even, to be
they
honest, I'm
stayed
thinking
Wakanda?
back. They didn't stay in there, and to be honest, I don't even know. I'm trying to think. I don't even think that they actually say it. It's like one of those Easter eggs that you kind of see in the background.
Okay. An Easter egg that you see in the background.
And just so our listeners know, Chase prides himself in catching Easter eggs.
do.
So for if we stump him on 2 of these in a row with the Easter eggs, my night is made.
I'm banning Easter egg questions. No. Okay, so let me run through. So this is current Marvel MCU universe.
This,
It's an
Tyler,
Easter egg.
this section's being cut out.
I know it is. I know.
This is fun, actually.
He's not even going to put it on this show. He's just going to cut it completely.
What happened to it? Okay.
Must have edited that by accident.
I'll
I'll give you another hint. It's on a map.
I'm going to go with. I'm about to go with Iron Man.
Which one?
Close.
2. Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 is
Iron Man
correct.
2.
Because you were talking about
Yes.
the maps. I'm like, that's the only one I can think of that had the map scenes
So
in there.
Iron Man 2 is
Yeah.
correct. Nick Fury is actually having a meeting with Tony Stark, and over Tony Stark's shoulder you can see Africa, and they
Yeah.
have a bullet point on Wakanda with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
note
yeah.
over top
I know
of
exactly
it.
what you're talking
So
about. Yep.
good job. You did get
Okay.
it. It took you 2 guesses,
I felt
but hey
bad 'cause
man,
I'm like, Wakanda, psh, Captain America, Vibranium.
no,
Easter egg.
I will say, I mean, those were some pretty tough
That
questions.
was-
So the fact
I
that you
feel
went
like I
2 for 3,
I
that's pretty
redeemed
good.
myself there. Okay, here you go. I'm gonna give you guys.
Oh gosh!
All right.
Hey, this isn't on the paper. We
I
can't
don't
do this.
care. We're doing with it. We're gonna roll with it because it's fun. Who was the original first live action Nick Fury?
I don't know. I'll just tell you. I do not know.
I was thinking I had seen this the other day, and I was trying to think of what it was.
You'll know it too. Whenever you guess it.
What was it on?
The movie?
Yeah.
It was a made-for-TV film.
Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, I probably wouldn't know it anyways.
Yeah, for some reason, in looking all this up, I was thinking I came across that, and I was like, no, it's too easy. You know that. I can't remember.
Y'all want a hint?
Sure.
He got the role because of an action series he did involving a car.
Hasselhoff?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
David
my.
Hasselhoff was the first
No
Nick Fury.
way.
God.
Yep. There was a movie done called Nick Fury, Agent of
Knight
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Rider was Nick
Knight
Fury.
Rider
Oh
was
my
Nick
gosh.
Fury.
Oh my word! I can't believe that.
Oh, yeah.
I was either thinking him or what's the other Magnum PI who played him?
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
The mustache.
It was the Hoff on this one. So
Wow,
That's
that was
awesome.
awesome. That was a lot of fun, man. Actually, I cannot wait for the next one. I'm gonna be like, okay, anything I watch I'm watching every Easter egg at this point. Because there are a lot, man. There are some really good and tons of
Yeah.
Easter eggs in the Marvel
Yeah,
films.
those are good questions.
Oh, and to be honest, with some of these, where I haven't seen some of the other movies that we've been talking about, I'm trying to kind of play catch up on them. Coming across some of this information, I was like, man, I had no clue that was there. Or, man, I didn't realize that's who that was. And you find out a lot when you really start to dig into these.
Oh, you do. Well, since we were already talking about superheroes, and you stumped me on one question out of that, which just blew my mind.
Which I'm kind of surprised because we've talked about Alien before, so I was
I
like
just
totally
did not
expecting
think-
like, even though I thought it was hard, I was
Yeah.
like, he's gonna know this.
I just couldn't. I could not picture that guy, and could not think of him being Harry Dean Stanton. So yeah, which I feel
question.
bad because I should have known. Should have known. If you want to do one about Alien, I'll be glad to answer anything.
Oh
but
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I got you on that one. So, all right, so the next topic is going to be superheroes to TV. We're all big superhero fans here, and there's a slew of superhero films coming out that we've heard about. Not films, TV shows coming out from Comic-Con, with Titans and Cloak and Dagger, and the continuation of the Netflix series. They just dropped on us that we're getting the next Daredevil actually this year, which is great news. You've got DC doing their whole live stream services coming out. It's going to have Swamp Thing and movies made for just for it. And we just want to look into how much superheroes have been on TV. And it's not something that's new by any means, even at this caliber. Now, there are more shows now or in the last 10 years than there ever has been. But it's been pretty big for many, many, many years. So we're going to take we're going to get in the DeLorean, call the doc, get up to,
I wish we could, man.
that would be awesome.
Speaking, that's one of my favorite scenes in Back to the Future 2 with Jaws.
Oh,
when he
man,
goes in the future
yes.
and the hologram, he's standing. I
It's so, I love that movie.
love
So
that.
have you seen those?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's say if not, then we were really going to have to get. I'm going to steal you for 2 days and have a list of this is what you have to watch. The first. Now, of course, I went back and tried to study about some things because I thought the first live action TV series was the 43 Batman that Columbia did. Now, I'm not. We're not going to take into effect or account the Lone Ranger, or the Phantom, those old serials that weren't really comic book superheroes, because that's really what we're talking about, what we love to talk about the most. But I thought the Columbia Batman serials from 1943, followed by the Batman and Robins in 1944, were the first ones ever. Totally wrong. There was an Adventures of Captain Marvel that came out in 1941, and they made him fly. And apparently that serial series did extremely well. So 1941 was the year superheroes hit TV for the first time in live action.
That Captain Marvel, is that referring to Shazam, or is
No,
Okay.
now that is see. Now I'm gonna have to go back and look at that because if I'm not mistaken, that Captain Marvel was the original Captain Marvel before the
Okay.
Captain Marvel fiction to see.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The old Marvel ones,
right?
Because I wondered that too if it was Captain Marvel, Shazam
Yeah.
or not. But from what I was able to find, because I couldn't find a ton of detailed research, and honestly, of was it DC or was it
Right.
Marvels? And for me, I think it's Marvels. I haven't even been able to find any footage of that one, But so I thought it was Batman was the next big one up, and then I thought for Marvel it was Spider-Man. Spider-Man first showed up. Now the movie came out in 1977. And it was kind of like they did a lot of those back then. Well, it was a made-for-TV film that was actually a pilot to try and get a series going, and it did successful and did a series, from 77 to 79. But I thought that was. But prior to that, though, Spider-Man was actually live action before then on the Electric Company. Which was on a children's network, and the Electric Company had a segment called the Spidey Super Stories, and had a live action Spider-Man in it who didn't even talk. He actually had like comic book balloons that would have his what he was going to say in it type stuff, and he'd fight these little heroes. And I think the dance choreographer of the show, Danny something or other, actually played Spider-Man. But I thought that was the first Marvel show up until I found out that there was actually a 1944 Captain America show with Dick Purcell. And I have found it on YouTube, and it is horrible, horrible, horrible. I mean, we all know Venom's my favorite superhero, anti-hero, whatever it is. He's my favorite comic book character. But if I had to pick my next favorite Marvel only, it's Captain America, man. I mean, he's my favorite, when it comes to them. And I mean, to the point where I've got the both of the 1979 Captain America films with Rep Brown. I've got the 90s Captain America film, of course, all the Captain Americas that's out now. I love Captain America. I found the 1944 Captain America show with Dick Purcell. Somebody had edited it into like one straight video of all the serials, and it's like 3 hours long. I'll never sit through it. I'll have to. I mean, I just don't see myself doing it. It's so bad. Did you find out anything on?
Yeah, Captain Marvel. It is referring to Shazam.
Okay, it is Shazam.
Yeah.
Well, see, now they did a Shazam show in the 70s.
Yeah.
74 or something like that.
Yeah. It's referring to Shazam. The most powerful man in cartoon land becomes the strongest man on the screen.
Was that the tagline for it? That's awesome. That's great. So DC hit him first. Actually, DC was pretty prevalent then because, I mean, they had The Adventures of Captain Marvel or Shazam in 41. Then they had Batman in 43, Batman and Robin in 44. And then it wasn't even until 44 is when Captain America came out. And Captain America was very, very bad. But then, of course, we saw Spider-Man show up in the 70s. Then, of course, 70s was really kind of when Marvel finally started to take the big boom because obviously DC's had it for a while. And we all know of the 1960s Batman series with Adam West and Burt Ward. I mean, it's just
awesome.
It's so good, so cheesy. Me and Ty were talking about that earlier on the Batcave, how they labeled everything. I mean, everything had a big placard on it. It's like, this is what this is, and this belongs. Actually, and I was telling Tyler earlier, I believe wholeheartedly. Well, I thought, and Tyler brought up a good point. I used to say that Adam West made the first GPS. Because there's a GPS computer in the Batcave. And Tyler's like, man, it was probably like some set designer who got no credit.
It was like some teenager that was like, hey, this sounds cool. That sounds like techie, and I'll put it in here. And yeah, he came up with it.
And that series was great. I mean, 120 episodes Batman ran. I mean, then he did the movie.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was super cheesy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I loved the show. Adam West was... He almost kind of reminded me the way he acted, very similar to William Shatner.
Yeah, a little bit.
As far as his the way he monologued things.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Was really good. So, I mean, and then you continue down the 70s. And, of course, you got the Spider-Man ones. But then you got them kicking off a lot of failed attempts. Actually, Wonder Woman with Linda Carter, which was a great show.
Good show.
Came out in 1975. Actually had a failed attempt prior to that, 1974. They did a pilot episode or made for TV movie that ended up not doing well, but then they revamped it again. And it phenomenal. I love Linda Carter's show.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was great.
Yeah,
you look back in history thinking about it. I mean, if you continue further from there, you've got The Flash, the 90s TV series with Wesley Shipp, who was actually in the new Flash show, plays Barry's dad, which I thought was great.
Oh, it's perfect.
I love the 90s show. Like, I've got that whole series.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so much fun. I love the costume in it. And, well, I love the fact that Amanda Pays was in it, because at the time, I had like a crush on Amanda Pays, like so bad, because of a movie called Leviathan. It came out with Peter Weller. She was in it, and I was like, man, she was like my first celebrity. No, Mary Tyler Moore would be my first celebrity crush, but Amanda Pays was definitely second. So yeah, there's a secret about Sludge there, guys. Mary Tyler Moore, I just thought she was the most beautiful woman ever when I was a child, ever. And I loved her show, man. Her show was great.
Her show was great, man. I mean, like all these shows we're talking about, it's like I remember watching them when I was a kid on what do they call it, Nick at Night or whatever it was
before. Yeah, Nick at Night.
It was before it was TV Land.
Yep, Nick at Night.
Yeah, I mean I remember watching Superman.
Yeah, you got the 50s Superman shows.
Yeah, I remember watching that and Batman.
Those were so good.
Yeah, it was.
I loved them, man. They were awesome. DC's really. I mean, they really, I think, kind of constantly owned it. I mean, if you go through and look, I mean, Adventures of Captain Marvel in 41, Batman 43, Batman and Robin 44, Batman in the 60s, The Adventures of Superman in the 50s, Shazam had its own series in 1974. Then you've got Wonder Woman. I mean, all the way up from the 40s to the 80s. Yeah, it was DC.
Yeah, with the exception of the Hulk. That was the Incredible Hulk. That was real popular.
Oh man, Lou Ferrigno's and Bill Bixby's the Hulk.
Yeah, so I mean that was good. But you also had a lot of cartoons for Marvel too.
You did.
You know, like Spider-Man. That was a big cartoon
that was
for
huge,
kids.
huge.
You know, yeah.
I mean, the live action show for Spider-Man with Nicholas Hammond did really well. I mean, actually, it had really good ratings, and I'm not even sure why they canceled the show. Because it did very, very well all the way up till the end.
They did weird things way back then.
Yeah, it was really odd. Because we were talking about it earlier too. I mean, you look at, we've got some questions coming up later on the Q&A with Matt that somebody asked about some older movies, superhero movies from the 70s. A lot of the movies back then that came out were made for TV because there were TV pilots that they were trying to make a show from. And a lot of them failed and they didn't do a series. Nowadays, we don't get that. If they want to do a pilot for a TV series, take Tremors, for example, with Kevin Bacon. They shot a pilot episode. And we'll never see it because they showed a screen of it and Sci-Fi Channel didn't pick it up and now there's no show. That's not how it worked back then. Back then, they made the pilot episode, has it made for TV film, showed it to the whole world, and depending on how everybody felt about it, then they decide to make a TV or show or not. Nowadays, it's just like they show it to a room of 20 people, and it's like, oh, yay or nay. So it's very different.
I kind of wish they'd go back to like sharing it with everyone. Like let everyone see that. Like
sometimes,
whether it fails or not, whatever. But
I will tell you one epic fail I think was huge, and it's a DC fail. Because if we go through, I mean, of course, in the 70s we talk about the Hulk, and then. There was a Superboy show apparently in '88. Don't know anything about that. I'm going to have to research that one. But in the '80s, there wasn't a whole lot of superheroes on TV. It picked back up in the '90s. DC again coming out strong with Swamp Thing after both movies. The Flash came out in 1990. You got Lois Clark's New Adventures of Superman from '93 to '97. That was a great show.
I remember watching that with my dad growing up.
I loved it. I am not a big Superman fan, but I love that show.
Oh, yeah.
So '90s really picked back up. However, I think the biggest flop I have ever seen when it comes to live action anything was by DC, and is the 1997 Justice League of America movie. Do you guys even know that existed?
I probably did, but I've never seen it.
Because if you were, again, Matt's our tech guy. If he can find a picture of that, just so you guys can see that we're looking, those listening, look it up. It is so bad. It is the epitome of horrible. Like, it didn't even have everybody in it. Like, you didn't have Superman. You had the Martian Manhunter. You had Green Lantern. The Atom was in there. I think Captain Cold may have been in it too. I'm trying to remember. It's been a few years. I've got a copy of it somewhere. But it's rough. It's so... Like, I think the bad guy was the Weather Wizard. For it, it was like,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, they dipped low for this movie, and the budget was horrible.
I was gonna say, it must have been a small budget.
It's not good at all. but that was one of those things too. I think they actually wanted to do a show, but that just
tanked it,
dude. The never released Fantastic Four film by Roger Corman that came out 3 years prior is far better than that Justice League of America one.
1997.
97. Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah. So you see the picture there. Oh man, it's so bad. And the Flash. Yeah, the Flash was in it. It's rough, guys.
The costumes don't look that bad.
They don't look bad. Well, when you see them on film, they may translate good in the promo picture, but they don't translate good in action. So I mean, you moved into that to the early 2000s. You've got. I wish it would have ran longer because I really liked it. Birds of Prey, I thought was great. Of course, you got Barbara Gordon, who starts her own team of superheroes that are all girls. You got the Black Canary and the Huntress and stuff, and that was really cool. They, of course, did a Blade series directly from the Blade movies. That was pretty good. I actually kind of wish they'd ran it too. Of course, now, I know Matt can't believe this, but Smallville, we have to talk about it. 10 years.
I love Smallville.
I have seen like 3 episodes.
Yeah, we'll have to ask a Smallville question next time.
I would totally get it wrong.
That'd be an easy stump.
And that's one of those things too, because I've heard a lot of people. I mean, when you talk about the shows today for out there, I mean, a lot of that really for TV gets credited to Arrow. Now, while Arrow is my favorite superhero show that's on TV, I would honestly kind of have to think Smallville really.
Oh, it was huge.
Would have to take credit for it.
And I only learned about it probably the 3rd or 4th season in, and I mean, it's like me and my wife just got married, so this 2005. So I guess it was like 4 or 5 seasons in. We would stay up as late as we could. I mean, they were like 48-minute episodes or whatever they were, because they were hour-long segments, and we would stay up as long as we could and watch as many episodes as we could in the evening. It was such a great show. I mean, it's hard to. The Superman mythos is just they kind of created it in their own world. They stuck true to a lot of things, but the show itself was just fantastic. The effects, some of them are like, it's okay, but for a TV show, it was like, man, this is awesome.
So now I gotta know, because I mean, I know he wasn't Superman in the show,
right?
But
right,
this is something that I'm like, I was like, when it was on, they're like, oh, you gotta watch Smallville. I'm like, if I don't see him in the suit, I'm not going to give it time of day. But does he actually see a glimpse of the suit at the last episode?
So close, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so well. Even before then, he comes out. What they call him? They put so many things in there, like his attire. He's always in like a red coat and a blue shirt, or something like that. So when he runs around and they have all these theories and stuff about him, he's the red blue blur. Red blue. That's what they refer to him as in the newspapers and the Daily Planet or whatever else in Metropolis. And then other times he's dressed in black and he's got the Kryptonian symbol on his chest.
See, now I remember seeing an image of that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get around to watching it. I really.
Oh, dude, it's such a good. And Tom Welling is an amazing actor, and he did so good at that show. He's a great clumsy guy, and his acting is fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Watch what? I'm sorry.
Tyler checked out for just a moment there,
I'm
guys,
sorry.
We'll get him back.
I was getting a message from my family there. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No. It's
my wife is home taking care of the kids tonight, and I was
go Hannah.
Totally taking care of that.
We believe in you, Hannah. Thank you, Hannah.
No, Smallville. I will be honest. I have a friend that has given me the whole first season, and I have not watched a single.
I enjoy it, like the very beginning, because all of Superman, even going back to like Lois and Clark and stuff like that, it's always Clark and Lois. Well, they bring out
like Lana's in it too.
Clark and Lana.
Right.
That's his thing at the beginning. Lois doesn't come in until season 4 or 5 or somewhere around there.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's really, really cool, and the backstory behind their relationship and things is.
I see one because
it's a great show.
Superman's very weird for me. You know what I mean? Because I definitely credit him to being one of the best comic book heroes there are. You know what I mean? But I definitely would not.
He's way better than Batman.
Though I think We're not going to open that door, okay? Because we're just look, Matt. Immortal at a he's beat Superman twice. Let's go even further. Green Arrow has kicked Superman's butt once with one arm. Okay, one arm.
Oh,
Superman, whatever.
but no, I mean, you get to see it. I mean, then they even the characters they introduce. Chloe Sullivan, she's a major character, and that she didn't even exist in the Superman story at all.
For the show.
And they and I think now that they have positioned her in some comic book that she's
cool.
part or somewhere along the line, she is introduced into the story, which is fantastic.
Similar scenario to like Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, but she's an ally for Superman, and when they get into introducing characters, Green Arrow is in Smallville. They have a Green Arrow.
And and Hawk Girl in there.
Yeah, they throw all of them in there. The Flash one of the Flashes comes in. It's not Barry, it's Bart.
Okay.
And they put Aquaman in there too. So
White pasty guy, orange green.
no, he's actually pretty. he's pretty buff dude. But
then I heard too, and we'll move on to some other shows.
But I think they did have him in orange pants at one point.
They'd have to.
Yeah.
You know. Now, let me know if I'm wrong on this, because when it comes to Smallville, I don't have much. When it comes to Superman, I like the new movies, but Christopher Reeve and Richard Donner's first two Superman films, that's Superman for me.
Great movies.
If we want anything about those movies, I can go all day about those. Now, but was Doomsday in Smallville?
He is in Smallville. Yes.
See, now that would be my one major beef.
It's
that'd be because obviously he doesn't die,
right?
Or does he die? And then they bring him back.
He dies but comes back.
Okay, if they keep that in there, then okay, I can forgive that.
I mean, it's things get at some point. Some things are like so confusing because you've got they introduce the Phantom Zone, and stuff. It's just crazy. But
I'll have to get into it.
We'll
show. Credit Smallville. I think, even though I've never watched it,
I would agree with that. Yeah,
is what really spawned superhero shows again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, when they came out with Arrow, Arrow is what really started for not just DC. If it wasn't for Arrow, I don't think we'd have the DC catalog we have now on TV.
Oh yeah,
or even the Marvel catalog on Netflix, because Arrow's what did it. And that's my favorite superhero show. It has been phenomenal. There's been ups and downs like every show, but it's just been phenomenal from the get-go. I mean, Oliver Queen is just bad, man. He's great. Yeah. So, and from it spawned that entire DC universe. You got it, then you got Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow. It's even who else is on that one? So you got Black Lightning.
Black Lightning
came from that, and I've only watched an episode or two of it, and I can't get into that.
I haven't watched that one.
So it's spawned that to where now it's to Netflix. Netflix has got Marvel's Daredevil, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, The Punisher, The Defenders. It's awesome. We got Cloak and Dagger coming out, Titans coming out for the DC universe. I mean, it's been huge on TV, and it's memorable. I think it's an easy access too, because with the movies, obviously the budgets are astronomical at this point for the movies. That you get an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on the movie. Avengers. The newest one was almost 2.5 hours long. That's amazing, but that's it. It's the end of the story, and that's what I love so much about the TV series. It's always been out for any show is you get that continuation. You get that keep going. Where are they going to go next? And I love that. I mean, for me, my two favorite superhero shows I've ever seen, has been Arrow's number one, but then I also was a huge fan. Well, it'd be a tie, though, between the Flash 90 series, which I loved about the new Flash, because for those who haven't seen the original 90s Flash, Wesley Shipp, who plays Barry Allen's father in the new show, was the original Barry Allen in the 90s.
Yeah.
They brought him into the new show to play Barry's father, which I thought was great. Amanda Pays returned. Mm-hmm. And she was in a couple episodes of the new show, and they even brought in Mark Hamill. Mm-hmm. Mark Hamill was the trickster in the original Flash, and then they brought him in for the new one, which I thought was just absolutely great. I love how they paid so much homage to that original show. But it'd be a tie between that Flash and the 90s Swamp Thing, because I was such a Swamp Thing fan. And Swamp Thing was really cool and interesting because There are better shows, I think. I mean, The Hulk, even though decades earlier, was a better show than Swamp Thing. But I loved Swamp Thing for what it was because it was much more of a mystical show, and he was kind of just this mystical element that was there and would be there when need be to fix the problem type deal. They had they were able to do their own storytelling and keep Swamp Thing there without it being solely focused on him. So I thought that was really, really cool. And of course, I mean, Lou Ferrigno's the Hulk, man. That's one of the best ever. He actually fought a bear in one episode? A real bear. Because if you go back, the $6 Million Man, he fought Bigfoot in one of his episodes, but it was a man in the suit.
Yeah.
Lou Ferrigno had to fight a bear in one episode, and it was a legit bear. Like, they got him on set, and they're like, "You're going to fight a bear today." And he's like, "Huh?" And they're like, and so he wrestled a bear. He's the Hulk. I thought that was awesome.
No, he really is the Hulk. Even in real life, I mean, he's a monster.
I like that they bring him back, and put him as like the little Easter egg and stuff.
The only good thing about Ang Lee's Hulk, the first Hulk with Eric Bana, was his
Lou
Ferrigno's
cameo.
That's it. That's the only thing good about that movie.
Yeah, I will agree. Of course, it is much older. With the the computer graphicking and things like that we have for the newer one, but you can't beat Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk.
Because he didn't need no CGI.
No,
he was
just paint him green, man. He's good to go.
He was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was great.
Even they had the 3 made-for-TV films. For that you had Return of the Incredible Hulk, Trial of the Incredible Hulk, and Death of the Incredible Hulk. Trial had Daredevil in it, and Return had Thor. I think was the one that Thor was in one of them. Actually, John Rhys Davis, of course, who played Gimli in Lord of the Rings, he was in, I think, Trial of the Incredible Hulk. And then, of course, you got Daredevil. And they were pretty good. I mean, that wasn't the best looking Daredevil. Ben Affleck's Daredevil was a bit better, I don't know. That Daredevil did better than Ben Affleck, but Affleck looked cooler. I won't give him that much, So, and you had a lot of those movies actually back then that were made for TV were good. The original Wonder Woman, we were talking about it with Linda Carter. They originally tried once in '74. Yeah. It failed. But it was still pretty good. So I think it'll just continue to grow from here. What about you guys? What's your all's favorites?
I think we've already heard Matt's.
Smallville.
Yeah.
Superman, period.
I will say, as far as the TV series, like I said, watched Lois and Clark with my dad growing up. I've seen the old Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. I would say recently, one of my more favorites is The Flash. Gotten into that. One thing that I don't really know how they would have fixed this, so I can't give them too much flack. But I felt like that they were just kind of kept trying to find somebody to be the villain in every episode. Like, it was, after a while, I feel like it kind of became a stretch. Like, you got the guys at the beginning, and they're like, "Oh man, this is so cool," because the reaction and things like that they cause it. And then I just felt like that they kept stretching it farther and farther to kind of keep getting these villains. And
that's one thing I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
because
I felt like I got burnt out on it because I was like, "Oh, what are they going to come up with on this one?" Like,
yeah,
and then like they did bring in the other dimension and that was pretty cool. And then it just kind of became more of the same of
Earth 2.
Yeah, the Earth 2, and so it became more of the, we've got these mutants, but then there's even more mutants on Earth 2, and they're coming in through these portals, so it made it even worse. And for me, it just kind of felt like they were stretching it. I really liked the first season, and I felt like it kind of started going downhill a little bit for me.
I think this may be because I know that when Berlanti, and I'll refer to Arrowverse more as Berlanti Land, because Greg Berlanti's really who's done all this. What I liked, of course, there's so much I like about Arrow better than any of the other shows, but one of the things I liked about Arrow that they did in the first season of The Flash was you had in Arrow some smaller villains that would an episode, but they didn't care. They weren't really there that need to be. They focused on one big bad villain, and they gave enough story to pull that for 22, 23 episodes.
Right.
And I think that the first season of Flash they did with Reverse Flash.
Well, they did the Reverse Flash, yeah.
But even with the next ones, I agree with you. I think there was episodes where it's almost like they didn't have enough story for the big bad villain, so they had to fill in here and there.
Yeah, and like I totally agree. I mean, if they'd have done the Reverse Flash for like the first season, and and not to spoil for anybody, but kind of get past him to a point, because we know that kind of evolves back a little bit.
Yeah.
But and then in the second season, go on to Zoom. Go to him. But I feel like they tried to add in so many like other villains on like the daily basis for Barry Allen that it just kind of became too much.
And I think they did not utilize two of the best Flash villains I think that's been in the show, but were very underplayed and shouldn't have been. I think they both could have been the big bads for an entire season. King Shark, who has been in tons, and he looked awesome.
He was very underplayed, though, I feel like.
Do you know who played King Shark in that? Tyler Mane.
Huh.
So I forgot about that until just now. He was at RobCon until I missed him. And then Grodd. I mean, Grodd is awesome.
Yeah.
He's great, and I feel like every time we do get to see him, it's really downplayed, like a filler.
Yeah, and I mean, those two supposed to be some of the main villains.
Yeah.
I mean, you really only see them for, 2 episodes each, something like that. And then it's like, problem resolved, or they got rid of them, or whatever it is, and it's done. Again, those are the main villains. Like, make them the main villains.
Yeah. I hope it's going to pick up the next one. I mean, this last season with the Thinker, it was good. But it's been the first season of The Flash where I really kind of, I missed tonight's episode, I'll watch it tomorrow night. Or maybe I'll watch it Thursday night. Or you know what I mean? Yeah. Or like by the time next week comes for the next episode, I'm like, oh crap, yeah, I got to watch this episode again. Or watch this episode so I can catch up. It was the first time that's happened with The Flash, this season especially. And I think they could have done a lot more. But I'm hoping next season, because next season, the preview came out for the next season, looks like it's going to be intense. I mean, now you've got Iris and Barry's daughter, she's here. And she's the fastest speedster in existence that's ever existed. So I'm interested to see what they do. Plus, I love the fact that he's got the ring. Did you guys seen the trailer yet? Mm-hmm. Remember in the comic books how like he had the suit in the ring?
Yeah, the suit in the ring.
Yeah, the ring's in the next episode, next season. So it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I can see where you're talking about the villains, because I think that's what makes Netflix's series so good, like Daredevil, and even Iron Fist, where there's a huge villain and there's so many little pieces they got to put together, and you have to watch every single episode until they finally get put together. But even I'll go back to Smallville. You've got Lex Luthor, and Michael Rosenbaum, I think is who it is. He plays one of the best Lex Luthors ever.
Just on him real quick before I don't want to interrupt. I love that guy. Dude, have you ever seen Pool Hall Junkies?
Yeah.
He was great.
I mean, he is amazing as Lex Luthor, because one thing about it is Clark saves Lex in the very beginning. And so this is what spawns Lex Luthor, his thinking. That's what, who is this kid? How did he do this? And they always downplay it or whatever else. But they're like best buddies for a long time. They hang out together. They do stuff, So it's an interesting dynamic. But so you've always got that. What is Lex Luthor going to do? But you got other things like his dad is in the story too, Lionel Luthor, and they're just rich, corrupt guys.
Yeah.
But the villains in Smallville are great. I like the Arrow's villains. They're always good.
I mean, to me, Arrow is just that show, and it's had its down points. Yeah. But that's the only show that they've had so far that has just really kind of hit the mark every season.
Yeah, I loved the first season.
Oh man,
dude, it was so good. I remember somebody like, "Hey, you need to check out Arrow," and I'm like, "Okay." And it hit Netflix. I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it." I watched the whole thing in a week, in like 2 days.
Love it. I will go back sometimes and just that scene when after he first gets home, like two things always stick out to me is when he's asleep next to the windowsill and it's open and it's raining and he's having that nightmare on the island.
Yeah.
And his mom comes in and he like throws her to the ground. Yeah. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. I'm like, and he has no idea. Yeah. And then when him and Tommy get kidnapped at the beginning, that moment when we're like, what are you going to do? You're tied to a chair, and he just pulls his hands out and it's like, you're done for. It's like, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver, is so into that role. I mean, I've watched him do his workout routines, where his workout routine, of course, he's got a normal workout routine, then he goes into a parkour exercise.
He's a monster.
Oh, he is. So he's in this big warehouse that's got all these different ledges and ramps, and he's running around like he does on the show. And that's what he does for an exercise routine, and it's insane. And to the point, and as far as the shooting the bows and arrows, he does it. Like, the dude is good. I remember watching a video where the company that makes the bows for him for the show, because all the bows that he uses are actually his, and he owns them. They made him a new one. I think it was for like season 3 or 4. And he was out on their range testing it. And the guy who worked for that, I can't remember the bow company, but worked for that company, taught him how to fire them. Shot a bow at like 100 yards, or whatever it was, into a target. And the dude shoots it bullseye, dead on. And then they're like, come on, Steven. And Steven goes over and just pulls the bow, looks at it, then looks at the camera of who's filming it, lets go. Dude, it's like it was perfect, shot right down the middle of his teacher's arrow. That's
awesome.
And it's like, dude's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah. But if I have one other favorite, and it's on our list, and I'm glad you put it on here because I absolutely love the show, and I hate that they did away with it. But Agent Carter, that was on ABC.
I missed that one.
That is one of my favorite shows that I as far as superhero.
For Peggy Carter, right?
Yeah. It was awesome.
I wanted to see it.
I love the time frame because it's set right after the events of Captain America: The First Avenger, or was it before?
Right. No, I think it is after, right? After Steve.
I think it is. I think it is after.
Yeah.
But it was such a good, clean show too. I absolutely loved it because you get introduced to characters. Tony Stark's butler his name is Jarvis.
Right, it's awesome. Yeah.
So it's just it was a lot of fun. It was a great show to watch.
That's definitely one I definitely want to see.
Yeah.
And then there's just so many good ones. There's ones, I could, like the Netflix Marvel. I think the Netflix Marvels, Kingpin in season 1 of Daredevil, may be the best villain I've ever seen on a show.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh man, I was like, Sarah's like, you really into this show? My wife was. I'm like, yeah, you should see what he does to this guy who interrupts his date. Like, oh man, did you watch Daredevil yet, Tom?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh,
no.
dude, it's intense. It's now as far as the Marvel stuff, I like because they want to go edgier and realistic, but I feel like in instances of Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, Matt and you were talking the other day, I just can't get into the next seasons because I just don't want to hear the constant, especially, the obscenities in Luke Cage right now, which I understand they're trying to keep them, from what I'm rating, is it's in Harlem. So some obscenities they want to keep real to what happens in Harlem. I just don't want to hear that all the time, especially those.
It's a lot.
It is, and Jessica Jones the same way. So I couldn't watch seasons 2 of either of those two. I loved Iron Fist because it was a lot cleaner.
Iron Fist was awesome because
Daredevil was, I thought, pretty clean, but man, got pretty brutal. There's Kingpin is on a date with a girl that actually likes him, falls in love with him, and one of his guys that works for him comes in to tell him something. And he's polite when he comes in. He's like, "I'm so sorry," and whispers to him, and Kingpin's just like, take him out here, and just makes him leave. And he puts him in a car, and they take him underneath this guy underneath this bridge, and then Kingpin shows up, drags him out of that car, and beats him to a pulp. And that's not enough. And the whole time he's like, "You interrupted he's mad because he interrupted his date with a girl who finally likes him, and ends up putting his head between a car door, and smashes it to where there's just nothing left. It was one of the most...
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I did, and I never expected him to go that far.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And at that point, I was like, I've never really felt Kingpin. He's always been a good villain for Spider-Man, even Daredevil. But I never really found him to be an intimidating or really dangerous villain until that moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that whole fight scene there at the end, the last episode between him and Matt, Lordy, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So, but... Anyway, so that wraps up superheroes for TV. That's something we all love, and there's tons of good shows coming out. Of course, I'm excited for the next Daredevil, Iron Fist. I want to see the next Punisher when it comes out because Punisher was great. Do you want to check out, Titans, Swamp Thing coming out on DC? There's going to be an Alfred show or Pennyworth show coming out next year.
That's cool.
That's going to be,
didn't know that.
It'll be prior to him going to work for the Waynes. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be during his time in the Army and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that because I love Sean Pertwee as Alfred Pennyworth on the Gotham series because he's bad. He is just awesome. That first time that Bruce gets kidnapped in Gotham, he goes nuts. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's really good. So I'm excited to see, a Pennyworth show because I think it's worth it. I mean, Alfred's a great character who doesn't get enough, I mean, and as far as other media in the comic books, I mean, there's a lot to him, and he's in it a lot, and he's a big character. He's as big as Robin or anybody else, but we haven't seen that as much on TV except for Gotham, and so I'm pretty excited about that. But anyways, I think next we've got the next segment. We're gonna go to Q&A with Matt.
Yes, we have a few questions here. And the first one, I hope I can say it right.
Let's set this one up. Okay, so we appreciate when you guys ask questions because we do get to talk to you guys, interact.
Apparently, you can ask anything.
Yes. Tyler, this one comes from your brother, who I'm pretty sure...
Don't associate that with me. I'll do that.
Which I think...
Tyler said, yeah, it's my older brother.
Yeah, remember, guys, I'm younger by a long shot from everybody. So Tyler's older brother asked this first question, and at first it doesn't relate, but I told Matt when we got the questions in, I was like, we got to answer this one because we've got one.
Yeah. Okay. Michael Sneed asked, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I can't say that fast.
So now, Mike, if you don't listen to this episode, you're in trouble. This is a question that I just, it's like, why waste time on this question? But because he did it, and knowing Mike, we have to answer it.
I have to.
Do you guys know the answer? Well, yeah, you know the answer. I told you guys last night.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so.
I don't
I mean,
care.
if we want to cheat, yeah, we know the answer.
Okay, so there's actual, Mike, there's two answers to this question.
This is what kind of question you get when you ask a youth pastor.
That's true. Okay. Hey, man, ask us something about the show. The topics, maybe. The topics would be great. No, I'm going to ask you an old nursery riddle that's just...
Next show will be Peter Piper.
That'll be his next question. Yeah. I'm done. All right, so there's two answers to this, Mike. The first answer is actually in the form of the riddle that goes with the riddle. So your question of how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? The answer to that is a woodchuck could chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. There you go.
Which means there's no such thing as a woodchuck.
There's no such thing as a woodchuck. So that's your answer for that. Now, there is actually a scientific answer for this. A few decades ago, I can't remember if it was the 80s, 70s, something. But anyways, a biologist said, I want to figure this out. How much wood could a woodchuck, even if it's a groundhog, not a woodchuck, because there's no such thing as a woodchuck. The actual answer for that, and they had done how much, like a woodchuck, groundhog, whatever, dug a hole, and how much they could fill that with wood. 700 pounds on a good day for a groundhog. That's a lot of wood.
That's ridiculous.
That's a lot. I told you last night. Would you say 16 pounds?
Yeah.
Because that seems like a lot for that animal.
Yeah. But when you think about little itty bitty pieces, that's a lot.
700 pounds worth. I mean,
how do they have any teeth left?
And that study says it's on a good day. But even on a bad day, what's a bad day? 300, 350? It's like, dude, that's a workload at Lowe's.
I know.
Yeah.
Wish I could eat that much.
That's insane. There you go, Mike.
Yeah.
There's your answer to your ridiculous question, sir.
All right. Second question. This is two questions, actually. This is from Pete Quint in Columbus, Ohio. Hello, Ohio. Number one. What was worse? This is going back to TV series on television. Doctor Strange in 1978 or Captain America in 1979?
Okay, so now I know, Tyler, you haven't seen either one of them because we talked about this earlier.
Yeah,
Matt, did you see either one of them?
No.
Okay, so I guess I'll take this.
I mean, I am the oldest one in the room, and this was before I was born, so you can't hold that against me.
I'm not holding against you whatsoever. In my opinion, and I think maybe a lot of people's... Doctor Strange is a bad movie. The original one, the 78 one with Peter Hooton. It is so insanely slow. It may be one of the most boring paced films. It's the most boring paced superhero film I've ever seen. And I hadn't seen it in a few years and was watching it earlier today and showed Tyler a little bit of it. The music was good because it's quite interesting. But even though as bad as it is, I still think it is so much better than the Captain America films.
I mean, I can you talk about the music, and I'm just thinking of the decade in the 70s. What did you need to take to watch that?
That's what I said to the Tyler. It's like you were listening to the music. It's like they're like, no one's going to watch this movie, so let's put some psychedelic music in here.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
anyone who does show up is probably on some hallucinogens, anyways,
Yeah.
to make it interesting. Because the music is crazy. There's in the opening sequence of that film, it's like showing all these different, old ancient writings and whatnot, and stars, and but then it zooms in on this statue of it's
almost like an Egyptian type.
but it looks like like an Egyptian type statue, but it looks like a white coyote head.
Yeah, like it's weird.
It's odd. It is a weird movie. Like it is not good.
And literally, like in one sequence that he showed me, that there's like 5 minutes of no talking, no anything. They're just like walking through the streets, and it's this weird, crazy music just playing in the background.
Just like weird synths and stuff going on.
Yeah, but no words for like 5 minutes. And you're just like, oh my gosh.
And as bad as that
so
is,
bad.
it is so much better than the Captain America movies. I mean, Reb Brown, who played Captain America in the 70s films, he was like a pro athlete. I don't know if he was I can't remember if he was a football player. He was big, so he had to be like a football player, maybe a baseball player. He wanted to become an actor, and in those Captain America movies, he's not the Steve Rogers. He's Steve Rogers' son, Steven Rogers. Okay, and he lives in a van down by the river. Not really by the river, but any of those who caught the Chris Farley reference, thank you.
It's so bad.
It's horrible. He does art out of his van. You know what I mean? And he's got like a motorcycle, and someone tries to kill him in the first movie, and they give him the serum, which is called Flag or something, and because he's Steve Rogers' son and he's got the same genes, it works for him.
Right.
Turns him into Captain America or whatever attempts to be Captain America, and he doesn't look good in the suit. We finally saw a picture of Dick Purcell in the 40s Captain America suit. That's better than Red Brown. And he's got this motorcycle. They soup up the the motorcycle's got like jet power now, and even has like wings. I can't remember I think wings at one point. And so, I mean, and he doesn't even have like a real full mask because he's always wearing that helmet, and it's all painted red, white, and blue. The shield's not even red, white, and blue. It's like red, white, and clear, and it's horrible. It is such a bad movie. They somehow did a sequel, Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, which I have, but have never watched because I can't. And I was telling Tyler, it's got Christopher Lee in it, and so I'm like, it's got to be good because Christopher Lee. Right? No, I'm not even gonna give it a chance, man. So, so Pete, I'm going to go with Doctor Strange because at least the music is interesting enough to let me at least get through it.
So Captain America was worse,
and I love Captain America, man.
I do too. He's one of my favorite, probably my favorite Marvel.
Yeah, the Red Brown stuff was terrible.
Yeah. Okay.
So
all right. Question 2 from Pete again. Who is the better Catwoman? Now this is going way back. Julie Newmar or Eartha Kitt?
So we're talking 1960s.
Yes.
Okay. Well, is this going to be for all of us, or who do you guys think? Now I know who mine is. My personal favorite Catwoman, because there was 3 of them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you had Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt, they were in the show.
Yeah.
And then
and that's probably what he was referring to.
Okay, so for the Batman series, not the movie, between the two, Eartha Kitt didn't show up till the last season.
She was late, yeah.
She was my favorite. I felt like, especially when she would do like the purrs and things, like her dialogue, she delivered that character very, very well. She was just a little more feline, I guess. I mean, I thought Eartha Kitt was the better.
She was more feminine than
way more, and she seemed more. She seemed more to me sinister too.
Right. Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Eartha Kitt.
Eartha Kitt. Yeah. I mean, I can remember watching episodes when I was little, but I don't necessarily remember if I could say who was the better one of the two. So I don't know.
Yeah, I remember kind of watching it with Dad growing up, and. As far as I can remember, I don't ever actually. I mean, I know who she is and things. I don't remember ever actually watching an episode with Kit. I had always watched it with Newmar. So that kind of based on what I know. I mean, I'd have to go with Newmar just because that's the one I've actually seen. But it's not really a fair judgment call on that.
I always wondered why. Yeah, I mean, Newmore was good. I mean, I liked her. I think she's bad. But I always wondered why, and I don't know why they had Lee Merriweather for the movie. Why didn't they use Julie Newmar? Or Eartha Kitt? But
yeah.
So, anyways, yeah. So Eartha Kitt.
Eartha Kitt, the better Catwoman.
You know what I loved her in more than that? Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh man,
so good. She was great in that. Old Lady Hackmore.
Yeah, I love all the Ernest movies.
They're so good.
I love them.
I miss that, man.
My wife cannot stand them.
What?
Man, I don't know. I think, Ernest Goes to Camp.
Oh, that was great.
Dude, I don't know how many times me and my brothers watched that when we were little, but it was a lot.
It's so good.
It was so good. Man.
Ernest Scared Stupid. A little bit of trivia. 2 of the trolls, the heads were actually from molds of Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
No one likes that first movie. Killer Clowns. Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Chiodos Brothers are great, though, because they gave us critters. But anyway, so next question.
Yeah, I could talk Ernest forever.
Jim Varney was...
One Christmas movie I enjoy.
Oh, man.
Ernest Saves Christmas?
Yeah. See?
Right?
It's a good Christmas movie.
I know it.
Great Christmas movie. Better than The Grinch. The look on his face.
I'm just kidding. We'll
It's not
see.
better than The Grinch, but-
We'll see how good The Grinch is come November, October, whenever it is. All right.
November.
It's November.
All right. All right. We got 3 questions. This is from Micah Murray. He's a local here in Bristol. Good to hear from you, Micah. He's my buddy. Number 1. This would be, you can answer this. Rank the seasons of Arrow from worst to best.
Worst to best?
Worst to best.
Let me go through them real quick.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind if you did it best to worst.
Yeah,
so I
I'm
don't
sure.
think it'll make a difference.
Worst, let's do best to worst. It's kind of a little weird. So Mike, I want to answer this best to worst. Best would be, best is going to be season 2, season 1, season 3, season 4, season 6, season 5. That order.
I agree with that.
Like 1 was great.
1 was really good.
Really, really good. 2 was just awesome. Like they stepped it up the notch. So yeah, that would be my order. Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm trying to.
It's hard to rank that to me though.
It's been a long time since I've watched the earlier seasons. It was when they come out. For me, I enjoy Katie Cassidy as Laurel.
Yeah.
So when the Black Canary and all that stuff just kind of got weird. And the White Canary comes in too with her sister.
Well, see, now I like, even though, Laurel
I liked
is
her,
Black Canary.
Yeah, I liked her as Laurel. I like that dynamic, the relationship between them two. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
The only thing I haven't liked about the show is the Olicity deal. I mean, like, the off and on. I love them together, and I think Felicity's a great character.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, my only thing I've not liked about it is just the back and forth.
See, she's kind of like the Chloe Sullivan of Smallville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of that thing.
But what I loved Sarah as the Black Canary, but I liked her way more as White Canary.
Yes.
She's been awesome as White Canary.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Dinah. Not a big fan of her Black Canary whatsoever. Which, and Mike, in case you don't know this, the only reason why her character, Dinah, currently is not the Black Canary, Laurel is the Black Canary in the comic books because she's Laurel Dinah Lance. They just named
it. Yeah.
The new one, Dinah, for the throwback to Black Canary.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Okay, second question from Micah. With the first of the Joker twins dead in Gotham, how will they deal with this new calculating and methodical Joker?
Okay, man. So if either of you guys watch Gotham?
I haven't watched.
Okay, so
that
they
since
went
season 2.
They surprised us big time. We didn't get just one Joker. They haven't called him the Joker, but it's the Joker. We got 2, and they're twin brothers, and it's epic.
That's genius.
Oh man, and they are so different, but it's the same. You've got Jerome and you got Jeremiah. Jerome is the one that if you've seen the pictures of, his face was cut off and he stapled it back on. Like, Jerome is out there. There was an awesome episode that was a throwback to The Killing Joke in a way, where he has to go to the circus and Bruce is in there with the Joker, and I mean, at one point it's Jerome, and of course he wears the makeup very much, like it, and he's just beating him. Bruce is done and is about to kill him, and Bruce looks up and he's actually got makeup on that Jerome's put on him, and he realizes, like, I can't do this, I cannot kill. Jerome is awesome. I think Jerome pushed Bruce and James Gordon to their absolute limits and was like, I want to push even further. I mean, he was just so psychotic and crazy. Jeremiah, when he stepped in the last season, he's a genius. He is an absolute genius, especially with numbers and calculations. And so everything he does is very calculated to a T. He's still crazy, still doesn't care, but it's like he's a sharper tool, if that makes sense. So I think with the next season, the final season, I don't know. Here's what I want, Micah. I want them to bring Jerome back because they can somehow, and have Jerome and Jeremiah together on this, because I think together as a duo, they would be so far deadlier than each one individually. I mean, it's just, they're kind of the yin and yang type deal. You know what I mean? So together, it's just be insane. But I think if they just went with Jeremiah as far as the way he calculates, they can set up for he could be the superior villain in the show. Right. To really push to make Bruce come out as Batman, because he would want to see that happen. Yeah. This Jeremiah, this Joker would want to see Bruce become that. So I think it'll be,
because this is the last season this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. The last question from Micah. Will we see a new crossover series like Crisis on Earth X?
As far as what's known, unless you guys are for different, we're not getting another crossover series. We are going to get another crossover event. That's going to be, until said otherwise, Micah, Berlanti and all them, they will continue to do the crossover events in December between all the shows. To bring them all. So like last year, I mean, you had Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and The Flash. The Invasion crossover was probably my favorite. I absolutely loved Invasion. I actually took all 3 episodes of the Invasion crossover and edited them into one film. And it's on like my Plex server, so I love it. So we're not going to have any other crossover series, kind of similar to what Legends kind of really is. But we will have another crossover event, and that crossover event, of course, is going to have everybody in it, from Legends, from Arrow, Supergirl, and The Flash, but they will be adding Batwoman in this one. So that's going to be her big reveal. Now, whether or not she gets a show is yet to be seen, but she will at least be in a crossover event in December. Still no Batman, though. No Batman. That bums me out.
But Supergirl has who? Superman.
You know what? He lasted all 3 episodes, okay? I do not like.
I love it how he's picking on you, but he's the one that likes Green Lantern. I mean, come on. Like, that was the worst DC movie that they
even
have
Ryan
ever
Reynolds
done.
makes jokes about it in his own movies.
Oh, yeah.
In
I mean, it
Deadpool,
was a
he was
bad
like, that was
movie,
a trash movie.
but I can watch it.
It was so bad.
I can watch it.
And I'll give to him. I can watch that one too, because there are far worse DC films.
Oh, yes.
Justice League of America 1997. For anybody who wants to go see something horrible, watch that. So, but it's, that's a bad movie. So anyways, Micah, there you go. Another crossover event, but as of right now, and I do, and you can, you guys can definitely ask Matt and Tyler. I stay pretty close to the books on the movie news and the TV show news, and I'm constantly texting them, oh man, check this out, and sometimes Matt will be like, oh, I saw that. I'm like, I'm still going to tell you, because I'm excited about it. But no crossover shows, but there will be a crossover event. So I hope that Marvel will do one. There's still no mention of a Defenders 2 season 2 yet. So.
I haven't watched the first season of that either.
I loved it. It was really good.
I heard it was pretty good.
It took a long time to get them together in a big real fight, everybody together. But when they did, it paid off so well. Oh man, it was.
Hey,
awesome.
I just got another question, and this is one we can all answer.
Okay.
So this is from Caleb Murray. This is Micah's brother.
Awesome.
He just texted me. He's like, "When are y'all recording again?" I'm like, "Right now." Anyway, he wants to know what our favorite villains have been on any of the TV shows.
Any of the TV shows.
Are we talking like DC, Marvel,
Doesn't matter.
anything?
It just he just asked any TV show. What your favorite villain?
Superhero TV show?
Yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah. We'll keep it superhero.
Okay, I was like, because
because that could go very ways.
I instantly, my mind instantly went into Star Trek, the Borg. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh.
Yeah. No, let's keep it superhero.
Okay.
And if he wants to change it, which I doubt he does, because he loves the Flash. When he was little, he was the Flash for Halloween.
Oh, Caleb, that's cute.
So, anyways, but yeah, let's keep it the superhero.
I was Godzilla for Halloween one year, Caleb. Don't feel bad.
Let's keep it to superheroes. What is your favorite villain?
Of all superhero shows, TV shows,
yeah,
that's my favorite
a tough
villain.
one.
That's tough. But you know what? Are we going to go? Are we going to stick to live action? Let's just stick to live action. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
stick
stick
to
to live
live action.
action.
Easiest
Okay.
way.
Yeah.
So my favorite live action villain honestly is going to be, even though the season wasn't my favorite of any show I've seen, I'm going to have to go with Prometheus from Arrow, this last season of Arrow. He was just, Adrian was, I mean, Oliver's in jail at this point. You know, his son's mother's dead, and like, a lot of people are dead, you know, and what he did, what Prometheus did, I think, was far superior to anything that Ra's al Ghul did. Malcolm Merlin couldn't touch him. I think Adrian was the most sinister villain, my favorite villain by far on TV. That I want to state, I have to state though, the Batman animated series Joker, Mark Hamill. That's my, if we would, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's live action Prometheus from Arrow. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Oh gosh, I was trying to think while you were discussing yours. What
tough.
would be
It's
mine.
tough.
It's a very hard question. Yeah, I mean, you can go back through all the older Batmans and the
Cesar
Superman.
Romero's Joker was great.
Yeah, you can go back through the Superman, the Incredible Hulks, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna go more recent. I'm gonna go from the Flash. I'm gonna actually say the Reverse Flash.
Harrison Wells.
Yes. Because that was such a lovable character that you almost got attached to him, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I love the way that they did that. So Reverse Flash would have to be mine.
Man, can I take a mulligan?
Yeah, go ahead.
I did not think about this.
I can't think of one.
Dude,
Just narrow
this is
it down.
difficult, Caleb. This is a very difficult question.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, and it's really because he reminds me so much of his animated version, I'm going to go with Mark Hamill as the Trickster in the 90s and the new Flash. That he's my favorite live action.
Yeah.
Because he was a lot like Joker too.
The Trickster is a good one,
so
yeah.
Good. He was awesome. And Hamill's just, he's out there, man. He can play those roles so well. So I'm sticking with it. Prometheus is second now.
Final answer.
Mark Hamill as the Trickster in both series of the Flash.
Yeah.
He's my favorite villain.
Going back to that, you guys know how I feel. I like the long running villain rather than
the short ones.
The shorter, and even though the Trickster's kind of here and there, I still would rather have the long term villain on that.
And which Reverse Flash is great.
Oh yeah,
Harrison Wells is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, great character.
Yeah,
or Eobard Thawne.
If you want to get technical,
gotta get technical on that. So
yeah. I don't know that I can choose. I really, but if I had to,
if you're on a deserted island.
And you can only take one villain with you. Which one do you want tormenting you?
No, gosh. I don't know. I'm going to have to go with what I've watched. Out of everything that I've seen consistently, it's going to go back to Lex on Smallville.
I need to watch that.
But I could even say his dad, Lionel. But at some points, Lionel seems to be an advocate for Clark. Other times, a complete enemy. You never know. I mean, the Luthor family is just evil.
Yeah.
But I'm just because of what I've seen, and that's what I'm going to say.
It's so tough because there's so many good mentions too. I mean, Jerome and Jeremiah from Gotham, man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Gotham's full of some of the best villains. That I've ever seen. Fish Mooney, it's so good. I mean, Daredevil, Kingpin was...
Yeah, Kingpin was awesome, too. Yeah.
And I mean, we're just having this debate over the TV shows. If you open it up to all superhero
movies... Venom from Spider-Man 3 is the...
We had to say it.
There was the opportunity.
I was going to say, but if we open it up to the movies, I mean, there's no cutting that down.
That's awesome. We say that on every
Dude, it's
episode.
gonna happen. Thank you, Tyler, for that one.
Yeah,
So
you're
bad.
welcome. I gave you that segue. On that one.
That is hard too when you go to the movies too, man. Because I mean, there's so many good villains.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk movies though, can you top Heath Ledger's Joker?
I was gonna say, as far as the two best performances, as far as a villain that I've ever seen, you've got to go with Heath Ledger's Joker or Tom Hardy's Bane. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like you can beat either one of them. Like, they did some of the best acting in back-to-back movies, especially. That I mean, I feel like that just takes it.
I was listening to our show while I was mowing the other day, the last one we recorded, and we were talking about the Joker being cast. Or the new movies for the Joker, and I was thinking how bad this could be for the Joker because of Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
You know that everybody's going to compare the new roles to that particular film, and it could be terrible. But yeah, I tell you what though, Thanos in Infinity War,
he's good.
Dude,
He's so good.
That was solid because you actually it made you feel sorry for the guy at some points. You know, I mean, it was like, yeah, I like that villain.
So in other words, Caleb, thanks for giving us a question that we cannot answer.
Well, I started thinking about other comic movies. I mean, Michael Wincott as Top Dollar in The Crow with Brandon Lee. Mm-hmm. Man, I mean, that's not a superhero. I mean, it's a comic movie.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal as Top Dollar. I mean, just some of those scenes, it's like, man, alive. It's just he's good.
Yeah.
There are tons. That is the hardest question we've had so far.
That's a tough question. Yeah, we can't answer it. Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks, Caleb. Appreciate it. So. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us for SludgeCast. This was episode 3. We had a blast with you guys. Hope you all enjoyed the Stump the Sludge. I got 2 out of the 3. We will see what happens on the next episode of how many of I get. But again, if you guys want, please submit questions for Stump the Sludge. That's a new segment we'll do every episode. If you get a Godzilla question right or get me wrong on one, you will get a free SludgeCast t-shirt. Woo. So, all right. So this is Sludge.
This is Tyler. See you guys.
It's Matt.
Y'all have a good night.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to lose.
I'm invincible.
Ready, Jack?